in front of me, but I'm assuming we need to approve the minutes from the previous meeting. Has everybody had a chance to review them? Are there any comments? Okay, we've got a motion to approve by, well, we got a second. Did you, Veronica?
I didn't hear it. Yeah,
Can you hear now?
I can hear you, but I can't hear them.
Oh, turn on your microphone, Scott. The minutes were approved, the first by Elizabeth. and
Second, Bill.
Bill's second.
Thank you.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, I don't think there's any nays. Next thing, I don't think we have any public here, do we? Do we have anybody online?
No.
Okay, this meeting's getting shorter. New business, WDI, the MSD, year 22 annual report. Christina.
You got a thumb drive at all? Oh. Yeah, how large is the file? You can try, but I don't think hang tight. I didn't realize you had a presentation, so sorry. You can probably email it to Dylan and he can pull it up, but he's got to come back. So I just shot him a text message. While we're waiting on some technology, could you get that presentation, or you can send it to Veronica. Veronica, can she email it out to you and you put it on the screen? All right. So
Here comes Dylan.
Dylan, you were missed.
I think we got it. We're gonna email a presentation to Veronica, and she's gonna drive that presentation on her end. Does she have the ability to share? All right, cool. All right, everybody stand by, and I'll say a few words here on the subject matter to required by a state general statute, the contracting agency for MSD funds, if it is someone other than that government entity such as WDI, is required to give an annual presentation to the committee, also to city council each year, as well as a written report for the previous year's activities. We're a little bit late this year as it's now March, and we're reporting on FY22, which ended June 30th of 2022. Historically, this report has come to the committee February, March, pretty late. If my history and research is accurate, what I want to do with Christina and WDI moving forward is to make sure we're current and that we start giving this report out both in visual presentation to the committee here and to council, as well as that written annual report, probably sometime in the fall following that previous fiscal year. So it's a little bit more current. And then also we can kind of talk about the next year as it stands early on, and then kind of outlining visions so that any of that feedback can get put in that final presentation that then goes to council that year. So apologies. I think historically we've been late. We're really late this year, and we promise to make sure it's a little bit more current moving forward. So did you email that over? Veronica, you got anything?
I did, but I need access.
Sorry, Christina, I would have planned better. Are you good on the screen sharing side, Veronica?
You ever notice that passwords only keep people who should be in not able to get in?
All right, stand by, everyone. We could always flip these to a. Yeah, I was gonna say, we could always go to just the strategic plan item. And then cycle back to this one, gives us some time.
It
there we
looks
go.
like it's coming up. There it is. Good job, Veronica.
Good job.
All right, Christina, it's yours.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I kind of did the best I could for this particular presentation only because I was only here for half of this fiscal year. So I just wanted to brief you on what we had done in the past fiscal year, as well as kind of what we're looking at for this fiscal year too. So if you go to the highlights portion. All right, so the staffing for the MSD kind of fell into place in the fiscal year 22. We had a little bit of turnover for that fiscal year, but we hired several new ambassadors towards the end of the spring and summer, and were able to fill those positions. So we are a full staffed as of this fiscal year. And we have tenured personnel. David Poppy has been with us for the duration of the program. We started street outreach program in December of 2021 during the fiscal year 22. And it's been a very successful program. We've had a lot of good initiatives set into place through that program. And we continue that on for this fiscal year. Our hanging baskets program was maintained throughout the spring and summer of last fiscal year with 155 baskets. We have since discontinued it, but it was successful overall in FY22. Ambassador reach has been widespread throughout the district in both business and hospitality contacts. In fiscal year 22, we look to do more business contacts as well as more hospitality contacts. And in the statistics, you'll be able to see how that has kind of touched across the district. And lastly, we resuscitated the facade improvement grant program in FY22. And through the directive of this committee, added to that facade improvement grant program for a total of $25,000. And we utilized every single bit of that money for the program. So those are the highlights for the last fiscal year. Here's the budget. Obviously, we included street outreach in the end towards the later portion of the fiscal year. And the budget was adjusted. We were originally at 144,000 and we ended up at I'm sorry, 444,000. We were ended up at 492,000. 50-50 split between clean and safe. Our overhead should be 15%, excuse me, we might be missing a number in there. Our marketing, my original position began in the mid portion of that fiscal year, and my role was supported through the marketing and then through physical appearance. That also includes our facade improvement grant programs. That kind of outlines the FY22 budget. This fiscal year's budget is a little bit different. I broke out the street outreach portion. Clean and safe or split 50-50 on that aspect. We maintain the 15% overhead. Marketing is a little less, and facade improvement grants equate to about 4% of our current budget. Our facade improvement grant program sponsored 8 businesses with $2,500 grants and 1 business with a $5,000 grant. And overall, the projects ranged in, $5,500 worth of improvements all the way up to $110,000. So the grant program is supporting beautification efforts across the district, and also matching some large projects. The $110,000 project was supported by a $500,000 grant. So if you compare apples to oranges here, we're supporting a lot of investment in our community. And the crown jewel of our program is our MSD Ambassadors program. So here are all the services which you guys are mostly aware of. We did add the street outreach portion for FY22, so that's now included. In the next slide, Our MSD leadership team has been solidified. We have James Slay, who's been with us through the duration of the program. Thomas Peterson is our team lead, and Jack Morris is our street outreach coordinator. And in the next slide, I've got a few photographs of some familiar faces you guys should see in the district. So this is our current staff to date as tenured personnel, included in Thomas and David Poppy, and our newest ambassadors are Chris and Robert. Like I said before, business and hospitality contacts were our focus for FY22. As you can see, this is through the duration of block by blocks contract with us. And 2020 was a very low year for this, obviously with COVID. In FY21, we started to see an uptick, and in FY22, we kept increasing that. And in the orange there, you can see where we're trending for this fiscal year. So overall, for business contacts, we were up 77% over FY21, and we were up 20% in hospitality contacts in FY22. Our ambassador activities range from biohazard removal to picking up trash across the district. We were up mostly in these items for FY22. Graffiti, for instance, was up 12% and handbills were up 49%. We are seeing an increase this year in graffiti for this fiscal year, but we are trending up in all of these activities for this fiscal year as well. Pressure washing is a large part of our program. The larger projects have included pressure washing around the Thermo Fisher property, around city offices, pallet bottle shop, and most recently the Wilmington Convention Center. So we were up again in FY22, and we are trending even closer to that in FY23. So that particular number is through February. Special projects can range from a large cleanup effort in an alleyway to weed eating to trash pickup of encampments. But when we are doing really well in our special projects list, it was up significantly for FY22 and compared to years past. And we are trending up a little bit shy of last fiscal year, but this fiscal year, we have some more projects coming in the spring. So this is just some examples of our special projects. This was the pressure washing in FY22 for the Thermo Fisher property, before and after pictures. We also updated our hand sanitizing stations. So we replaced all the cards in the hand sanitizer stations with the new MSD logo, the new WDI logo, and the new Navant Health logo. We maintain 155 hanging baskets again, and these are just a couple of photos of Shanta and David doing those waterings across the district. And then we've also done large scale graffiti removal. This is in the rail trail corridor last fiscal year. So to gauge the success of the street outreach program, I've kind of taken it since the start of in December 2021 from last fiscal year. And since then, Jack has had more than 5,200 contacts with the unhoused population downtown. These are all the statistics that we keep record of as far as his touches with the unhoused community. Outreach referrals are significant. Social services referrals are significant. Transportation assistance, we have a monthly budget in our contract with Block by Block that secures roughly about $100, maybe a little bit more of funding that we can use to help give out bus tickets for folks who need to get around town. Or just transport. And most of the transportation that does take place, however, takes place in Jack's personal vehicle or within the MSD vehicle. We have conducted several special encampment projects and cleaning since between the two fiscal years. We've conducted 2 at the library block, 3 underneath the bridge just for the MSD, and 1 at the CD's Gateway property for this year. We've removed 110 bags of trash and 54 needles from these 3 properties, just the ambassadors. And through efforts for this fiscal year that have been kind of stemmed from the outreach program, working with the city, Wilmington Police, the Sheriff's Office, and DOT, excuse me, not the Sheriff's Office, but with DOT, we've NCDOT's landfill tickets have accumulated 19,000 pounds of trash that's been removed from underneath the 3rd Street Bridge. And these are just some photos of that work. This is Jack at the 3rd Street Bridge site, speaking with NCDOT officials. The NCDOT and MSD teams joined in on a cleanup effort underneath the bridge. And then that's Jack and one homeless individual that volunteered to help clean up the library property. And that's all for this particular report. If anybody has questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Maybe. There we go. Thank you, Christina. You're up next, I guess. Sorry, what? Jim?
I'll take the next one.
All right.
My mic has worked. All right, so MSD strategic plan. I think this is something that was, I don't know if it was ever called a strategic plan per se previously, but something that had been previously discussed were kind of work session goals, work plans, and previous versions of the committee. And I think a few meetings in a row, Chris has kind of expressed interest in really, we need to be strategic in our thinking, not only currently, but long-term. Doesn't have to be a detailed process, but as the committee as a whole, the committee needs to come up collectively on what its priorities are, within the MSD program. And Chris, feel free to jump in if I'm misspeaking or misdirecting some of your intentions. But and I think some of this has come from the budget discussion, especially last year and again this year, of trying to just some open-ended, hey, committee, outside of what WDI is currently doing and has previously done for the previous 5+ years, what else do we want to do? What kind of special projects do we want to put out there? Do we want to tweak, WDI's ambassador type formula and go a different direction? And I think that's kind of where what we're trying to get out of this is really a overarching look at where the priorities are, how we're spending the money, and what we might want to do with this money moving forward, or recommendations that the committee wants to give to the manager's office, as well as to council as we progress forward over the next X number of years here. This predates me, but previously there were some work sessions conducted, and what came out of that is what I got in my files were comments from 4 or 5 previous committee members, and ideas that were brought up. Some of these ideas were actually put into action, such as the tree well. It was one of the committee's goals early on. It took 4+ years to get there, but
That was the first one.
it got accomplished. It was a lot of work. It got accomplished. And other stuff like there was also some recommendations. A lot of this came through prior to the community outreach position through WDI and block by block. So that position, the goals of that interaction and assisting with the homeless services connections and interactions, and really Jack's role, came out of those initial work session plans. So that's the type of stuff in my mind that I'd like to see us hopefully accomplish and get on paper. And it's funny, Chris mentioned earlier, and it's what I was gonna leave us with, but I should bring it up now, is just like we did in previous years with this, and I can send this out to the whole group. I think it's gonna be advantageous for every committee member to put some ideas on paper. You know, you can use Veronica and I as the funnel over the next few months, few years, and put it to paper. And doesn't have to be anything detailed, quick bullet lists, some ideas. A lot of this is going to take some time, depending on what kind of ideas we come up with. You know, there's a big difference between cleaning up Third Street landscaping beds and decorating 12 alleys versus doing something really special with the Riverwalk in terms of lighting. So varying degrees of ideas, varying degrees of time that it could take, and also other city resources along the way. But I think it's advantageous to continue to talk about this, not only once we kind of develop some high priority, you know, top tier 5-10 items that we want to work on over the next 10 years, but we should be continuously talking about it, as well as revisiting these stuff too, because as downtown continues to grow, and things continue to change, you know, hopefully for positive and better down here, you know, this working set of goals may also change along the way too. And in this, from the staffing level, what I would love to see come out of this each year is once we start talking about the next year's budget season, is we're not asking questions. We're going, hey, we've already got it on paper. These are our priorities. This is how we want WDI to work on the professional services side of these MSD services. These are the percentages where we feel like we should be going into next year with, and boom, city manager, city council. If we've got an extra 50,000 this year, this is what we want to do with it. You know what I mean? So we're not kind of scratching our heads every season during budget season and just, you know, pulling stuff out to pull stuff out. So with that, I'll be quiet, throw it out to the group. Like I said, I would be happy to go through these today. I don't think we need to, but I'd be happy to send out the previous ideas with some highlights of some stuff that was probably already accomplished within this, and also put some asterisks where I still think some of these ideas were current, and kind of let it go from there.
I'll jump in on the backside. You had mentioned about the Riverwalk. This is something the CVB is pushing hard for. Sean has made it clear that she will not retire until it's done. So, and Carl Marshburn, this is, at this point, and you know, really, we didn't even get recognized as one of the better river walks in this last round of voting. And the consensus of the businesses downtown is the city's eyes are on the new part, and they tend to forget about the old part, that it's looking a little mangy, and you know, handrails need to be painted, get rid of old, you know, trash bins. So that should be the shining star downtown. The reason I'm bringing this up too, I think every one of us need to communicate with property owners and other businesses, because they don't, to them, they see the ambassadors, but they're going, this is my money. So they want to see something big and tangible. So they appreciate what MSD is doing, but they want to see projects that to them have impact, that will make downtown better, not just getting by. And this is coming from the Finkelsteins, the Bullock family. I mean, and Don Lashley, these are the ones that you'll hear voices once in a while saying, I don't even want to fund this thing anymore. So I think it's up to us to figure out projects that are so visible that they're going to notice them and value them. The other thing I do want to bring up, have we done any calculations on how our budget is going to be impacted with the PPD purchase, the loss of that property tax?
No calculations with PPD yet per se. I've asked some questions, haven't gotten answers.
Mhm.
I will talk about it in my city update of where we are with next year's projections. I do have some at least working numbers and some recommendations. I'm happy to talk about it now, but maybe just let's get through this and I'll
Yeah, I
talk
was
about
gonna
it.
say, since we're on this.
Yep.
So what would you, from staff side, what would you like to see from us? And I guess my comments are based on the tree wells. So again, that was the first priority. It took forever to get done, but there was a reason for that because the city was gonna do all of them throughout the city, not just in downtown.
Right.
So would it make sense to, maybe have a 3-part plan to get started? Everybody throw 5 ideas on a piece of paper, send it over to you and say, listen, of these 20, here are 2 that are kind of smaller. There's no overlap with other services. It's gonna get in the way, or somebody else is trying to do a bigger set of that, and we'll come back and hone it in and take the next 3 months to kind of put some long range planning over the next 3 meetings.
Yeah, I think if we can get a list from everyone and we can prioritize that short term, short range versus long range, and also within the short range, maybe there's some quick low hanging fruit items some folks are bringing up that we can knock out pretty quick. And like you said, doesn't involve, other agencies per se, or a bigger city
Right.
role. I think, yeah, a collective group effort, some ideas. Next step would be to narrow those things down, prioritize short-term versus long-term, and then figure out how the heck we accomplish those. And a good example of why it's going to take some time on some items. Christina's 3rd Street landscaping bed, mentioned a few months back, and I went through and looked at them, and Christina and I walked a few blocks last week or 2 weeks ago. And, the first question we have to ask at staff, and I think the committee needs to be aware of this too, is, and this was pointed out in some previous ideas, is where is the dividing line of city role versus the above and beyond? And the landscaping bed's a good question. So before we spend MSD monies or recommend spending MSD monies on any beautification of these landscaping beds, as a staff level here, I've got to figure out exactly what the city's role has been and should be. And that's I think that's where we're going to need to finesse and fine tune some of these ideas too. Cause I asked a question recently and I haven't gotten an answer yet because
Right.
Can't hear.
Well, safety was also a big part of that too.
yes, safety was in my
That
memory,
was actually
safety
which is one of the reasons we went with Allied originally, because they had a bigger background in safety, but it was clean and safe. Absolutely.
I'm sorry. We can't hear you, Elizabeth. Thank you.
Put it right in your face, right there. No, it's not on.
Thanks. Thanks, Veronica. Sorry. I was around when this was marketed to the business owners, and it was very much beautification, which now the baskets are gone and I would like the flowers to come back. And now it seems like all the money's going to charity services, which there's not a tangible benefit of to the property owners that pay the tax. And then you get more homeless because they are here and they are fed. And it's an economic cycle where it's making the businesses earn less money, yet they have to pay more taxes because of the homelessness. And it's just, those tangible benefits that were initially marketed are not readily apparent, other than the ambassadors. Obviously, they're doing the contacts and helping the tourists and things like that. That's very visible and that's very good. But the cycle of encouraging situations that cause a revenue to decline and then asking that same business to pay more tax is not sustainable, obviously.
How do you guys feel about, DBA several times a year will do a survey and it goes out to about 700 people, business owners, property owners downtown. I think that would give people a sense of involvement, that they're being heard. Are you guys okay if we send out a MailChimp?
Well, we do that. Actually, that's part of the state statute. The MSD has to send out a flyer, and is it notification only? Or are we doing a survey as well? We can certainly add the survey
We
to
need
the,
input.
Yes, I can do both.
Okay.
And I just want to make one one thing clear from, while I have the microphone from Elizabeth's comments. None of the MSD money is going towards any charity. We're not feeding the homeless. We are, I just want to put that on the record and make that clear. We're not giving money to charity.
And you beat me to the punch because that's correct. There's nothing we can do about stopping the feedings on public property. That was kind of where the charity and government kind of clashed, because that's why things weren't getting clean. They were leaving stuff all over the place. And so, yeah. Agree with that.
I was gonna mention the survey. When's the last time we surveyed the geographic stakeholders? We done a survey this year?
I have not done a survey this year. This
Last year.
Last year.
I
We
think-
did one
now,
last
now
year.
how extensive it was, but by statute, we have to send, the MSD has to send out an update. I believe there's just 3 or 4 question surveys. So should we expand that? Sure, but that went out last.
I
year,
think
last.
the survey results should be part of our collective
Agreed.
Yeah.
narrowing down of where our priorities and plan is. Absolutely.
You know, the thing that I come up with all the time, is this on? I hope so. Is, if you look at the current budget and then you look at the MSD, that is our budget. It doesn't include Riverwalk. It doesn't include sidewalks and alleys and things of that nature. So, and I'm not saying it shouldn't, it should. But what I'm thinking is we have to go behind just the traditional MSD. This is what we've been running on for the last 5 years. We'll probably most likely continue to run on a lot of those, most of those things. But going beyond that, I think there's a real need between interagencies and between MSDs and the DPIs and whatever, all these different names that are out there. And basically say, look, I'd like to do something with the Riverwalk big time. I mean, I walk it every day. I see how it attracts tourism. But at the same time, I see that there has to be partnerships. MSD cannot do that by themselves, nor can the city. The riverboat operators should be involved with that thing. The federal government needs to be involved. They have basically are starting to destroy the docks south of the federal building based on the work that they did to improve or sustain their bulkheads. And so those docks are at risk of failure. And you got people, that's a safety issue, big time. So what I'm going before the meeting with Chance, I just simply said, look, why don't we all come up with whatever must do, would like to do, probably can't do, put it in writing and use it, consolidate those ideas, and then let's have a dialogue over what that means. But I'm a belief that with current MSD funding, a lot of the things that are going to make MSD even better are not sustainable to be able to do because of the current level of our commitment to the current level of spend with the programs that are in place currently. And that's kind of where I'm at.
These are one-time shots out of that 500,000. That, I
No,
mean, in addition to the MSD is what we're talking about right
The
now.
way I would, from my recommendation from the staffing level to the committee would come in very similar to what Chris is saying.
Yeah.
We've done.
In the budget?
We've done this, not to say it, Christina, don't get anxiety when I say this. Cause I see the look. We've done this pie chart way for the last 5 years. And a lot of that pie chart was developed a few years prior to the first year of the MSD, and it's where those priorities land. Now, some of that is dictated by state general statute of what these monies can be used for, but it's pretty wide. I mean, the city should say, hey, we want to use all 600,000 next year to help build a parking deck. Like there's
Or policemen.
right. So
Right.
there's a wide range of uses, but what I would recommend is come in with the mentality of similar to what Chris is saying is what are our priorities? You know, it doesn't have to be, 80% or 75% clean and safe ambassador program. It will probably end up being a good chunk of that because I mean, that's kind of the big above and beyond of day to day that what this thing was established for, but it doesn't have to be that way. And it doesn't have to be one-time fund balance uses. It could be something to where it's, you know, just an example here. If, you know, 6 months from now, we got a plan for the Riverwalk from the MSD and there's city buy-in. It could be that the MSD puts 50 grand a year of its annual operating budget into pieces of handrail painting one year or improved lighting the next year, plank board, sanding and staining one year. It could be that type stuff. It doesn't have to be one time.
I think we need, from that standpoint, what you mentioned earlier, we need to verify what the city has allocated toward the Riverwalk.
Well, that's
Yeah, we
absolutely.
don't know.
And again, like, there's a whole bunch of other people involved. Again, I agree with them. The federal government should be stepping up a lot more than they are too. They're doing a lot of the damage.
We've learned our lesson.
Yeah.
It's taken them how many years to do the courthouse?
It's still going.
Yeah, I think,
Dead before.
I think we really,
Tree wells.
I really think we take time here to do
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
right.
I agree.
You know, we've got a fairly fresh committee.
Mhm.
You know, Tom, you've been here for a while, Ray's
a
been here for
start.
a while.
Yep.
There's a couple other folks here, but for the most part, a majority of the committee here is new within the last, you know,
Mhm.
12 to 18 months. A lot of history with downtown, but new to the committee. At the same time, a lot is changing. A lot is going to continue to
Fast.
change. So I think we're at a nice pivotal point to,
But to also address the question about the pie chart, that's part of the state statute. But again, that has to go to council. So that's why we should be planning this every year along, so we can, it's really easy to change how we're slicing that pie annually versus trying to do it every month.
absolutely. Absolutely. I would love, am I still on here? I would love for us collectively as staff liaison to the MSD committee next year leading into budget cycle, be able to hand a packet to the budget director that then goes to the manager that says, you know, this is what we've come out with after 6 months. Here's our short term, here's our long term, here's how we want to spend our money next year based on what comes in. And it's clear, it's detailed, and you know, it's been thought through.
Mhm.
I think that says a lot about the group and where we want to take this.
Agreed. And if you could do you have the list of prior sessions? You have that condensed? And I could probably, could
Yeah.
you send that out there?
Yeah, I can PDF this onto one.
That'd
Absolutely.
be great. Thank
Yeah.
you.
That'd be great.
And if nothing else,
No.
then I guess we're on to reports.
So we're gonna prepare something, and give it, every member is gonna come back and give something back to who, you or?
Yeah, I would recommend sending an email to me, directly to me, put it in a Word document, PDF, whatever's easier.
Sure.
Even email form, you know, send it via email form bulleted list. I can grab it and put it into a comprehensive document. Absolutely.
You're gonna send out a list, the current list,
Yes, what I'll do,
send that out with a request that we amend or add to that list. the
yeah,
thing- our suggestions.
here's my takeaway, Bill. What I'll do is I'll condense previous work plans from previous committees into one clean PDF. I'll take names out on who recommended what. Doesn't matter at this point now. Just so you can see what was discussed in prior years. Give yourself some time to review that. Give yourself the time to look at both current and future of downtown and respond back either in Word document or directly in the email of some goals, some short-term, long-term, or just ideas in general.
And if you send that out, if everybody can look at it and come back, send everything to Chance or Veronica, and then we can next meeting start working through it.
Yeah,
Oh.
once I collectively get it, you know, I can clean that up, send it back out to everyone so you can see where, and I think when you start taking some similar ideas, then that's where some of the priority, I mean, it's gonna take us more than a few months here.
Mhm.
But, you know, if you could take, I would say, let's take the next 30 days. Put everything,
Plus the survey.
plus the survey, right? So I'd say, how about this? The next 30 to 60 days to get the initial list together or ideas. Hopefully that gives enough time for the survey to go out, come back and compile. And then we can start really some first level heartier discussion, maybe the May meeting.
Well, the surveys goes out at fiscal year end. So that would go out, same with the city. So that would go out in end of June.
Okay.
Yep.
So just
We're
FYI.
not gonna move any faster than.
Right. I was gonna say, we're not gonna get the survey back by May. is what I'm saying.
So let me take that back. Take 60 days or so to really, I mean, we've got time for next budget season, but I want to continually talk about this and not talk about it again in December and then.
Agreed.
Why don't we just say that by May, you're presenting back to the group all these items. that
On the internal
been-
stuff.
Yeah, on the-
Got it.
Sure.
Yep.
So that way, maybe we say to the members that we should be giving back to you, for the April meeting, you should already have collected ideas from every member.
So let's go back to by the April meeting, which is April the 18th.
Mhm.
Send ideas in writing to me.
Yep.
From April into May, I'll compile those, have talking points for everyone, and we'll present them back to everyone in writing beforehand and in presentation form as a discussion and agenda item in May. We'll see where we land on that first initial discussion. We can continue on in June if needed, or we can hold back on June, and then once the survey results in, start putting it.
Well, the other thing that we could use to boost what this committee comes back with in the May meeting to add to the survey. If we've
There you
got
go.
5 top things that this committee comes back with, we'll put that out to the stakeholders, and whichever one gets the highest ranking, because we've done that in the past.
Yeah.
Those will be the ones we start tackling.
Yeah. It can help guide the survey and let the survey turn around and help guide
Exactly.
the final product.
All right. Sounds like a plan. Thank you, Chance.
Yes, sir.
On to reports. Or we have any police here? No.
Lieutenant Nichols is in some strategic training today, and if you give me a couple seconds, I will try to pull up his update. He's in mandatory incident command training today. So minor update for the committee. Over the past 30 days since last meeting, bar inspections, compliance checks, there's been 7. Alcohol-related charges, underage possession, fictitious ID, that type stuff, there's been 10. 2 drug-related charges on the county library property. 1 arrest, 3 citations for trespassing under the Meadowlark Bridge over the last 30 days. And then really no major incidents to report during St. Patrick's Day parade and Saturday. 1 arrest the whole day and nearly 3,000 individuals downtown that night. So that's a great
That's
ratio
awesome.
to be reporting out on for that St. Patrick's Day parade Saturday. And that's it. That's all I got from Lieutenant Nicholson, WPD's update.
Wonderful. Thank you, Chance. I guess over to WDI.
All right, we are looking at added strategies that we can implement in the ambassadors program and the street outreach program ahead of the spring and summer tourist season. The MSD ambassadors team is currently reviewing best practices and emergency action plans. We have hired a new seasonal hospitality ambassador, Joseph Capone. And again, hospitality and business contacts have been up. Hospitality contacts were up by 26% and escorts were up by 54% in February. NCDOT removed 10,500 pounds of trash from the property during their February 1st cleanup. We went out last week and removed most of the visible graffiti from the Meadowlark Lemon Bridge that has been either accessible or kind of covered with paint or removed completely with the pressure washer. The MSD ambassadors team conducted another special project at the city of Wilmington's gateway parcels. We did a cleanup of the encampment there and removed 25 bags of trash and 4 hypodermic needles. But we have seen some success through the outreach program. We helped 8 individuals get enrolled into addiction treatment or treatment in February. We help collect, help accommodate one woman to find shelter at Good Shepherd. And the Good Shepherd worked with us, or we worked with Good Shepherd rather, in helping one person find an actual place to live and getting financial assistance through one of their grants. So weeds and flower beds from Walnut Street to Red Cross Street off of Third have been removed and the dirt and leaves have been tilled. And then as far as the other activities, WDI is still has some grant money through its microloan program. And we will be looking forward to solidifying our Bring It Downtown marketing plan and issuing that contract with the city soon.
Any questions? Great, thank you, Christina. Back to Chance.
I'll go through the lightning round first and circle back to the budget so that I get through the lightning round. All right, reported out on it last week or last month. I think everyone's aware of 200 North Front Street, 300 North Front Street back open again. I think most of that punch list is complete. Bill, I did report out on the lighting note that you gave me that it's been on 24/7. I went down and looked at it. Engineering told me that there was a broken photo cell or broken timer that's attached to that power piece.
Appears to be working.
Okay. He said they were working on repairing as of late last week, so let me know.
Well, there were some guys working there again today, so
All right.
but it's been off during the day.
All right, that's good. For those of you that may have been keeping score at home and following some stuff on the north side, the Wilmington Convention Center been going through some considerable repair and maintenance items over the last 18 to 36 months post Florence. Some of it Florence related, some of the proactive measures for the future of that building and living near Hurricane Alley here. We've put nearly $4 million into that building over the last 24 to 36 months, including major waterproofing, new windows, new storm shutters, new smoke louvers. We are about to repair the remaining portion of the roof. Once we're done with that, that'll give the center a whole brand new roofing membrane. So for those of you that are downtown a lot, there's gonna be a crane out there next Monday, lifting in the remaining roofing materials for the last piece of that roofing. So lots of work happening there, all very positive to help sustain that building moving forward. I will bring an alley update to the group on kind of where we are, just overarching between city's public services and a few other items with the city's downtown alleys, not necessarily alley activation per se, but where we are on some maintenance and infrastructure upgrades. The city does have a planned project with CFPUA on some utility relocation and also alley resurfacing in Henderson, Quince, and Wilkinson. Those are all three kind of back to back on the zero block of South Front, Nikki's Sushi, Nikki's Seafood, those kind of three back to back through there. Resurfacing and utility relocation plan with CFPUA. I can talk more about that next month. I still need some details from public services, as well as something's come our way, which kind of sends us in the direction of alley activation. Toomer's Alley is the connection point. It might even be Smith and Toomer's Alley. There's kind of one's named one across the street at Front Street Brewery, and then Toomer's is on the Market Street deck, Bailey's Theater side. That's basically the little connection point between the Market Street deck and Front Street, right next to the Bailey Theater's property there. There's a planned development project there. I think 2-3-story mixed use, small residence, and I think maybe a restaurant bar on top or something along those lines. There's a potential partnership there with the developer and the city on an improved resurfacing of that connection point, and also some lighting to kind of brighten up once that building goes through there because of the pedestrian thoroughfare cutting through there. So it could be a good accidental first step for our alley activation idea through there that could come at us pretty quick. So I'll give a few more updates on that next month. And then now to the budget. So what I have from the budget director finally is some very high level estimates of what we're gonna be getting in on the MSD property tax side, as well as the sales tax allocation for downtown. With the continued, the assumed continued manager recommendation and potential council approval of remaining 2 WPD officers downtown funded by the MSD, factoring in the current baseline of 562,000 that went to WDI's professional services this year. Non-departmental fees we have to pay out to the county for the tax payments and everything. That potentially brings us roughly, depending on where we land with WPD's annual increase on salaries and what council approves, as well as what kind of budget reserve contingency the committee recommends keeping. That basically brings us very quick numbers. Like I said, I got this about an hour and a half ago. Somewhere between the $50,000 to $60,000 mark, beyond what WDI's current budget is. So if you recall, WDI had presented kind of 3 options: a baseline of 562, I think a very subtle 3% increase, and then a bigger 13% increase. I think this brings us probably somewhere in the middle there of potential funding that can be used within the MSD, by the MSD, and recommended use by this committee. And back to our initial comments on the strategic plan, that recommendation could come in an increase to WDI's annual contract for the ambassador program, whatever's, filtered through their contract. It could come as a recommendation to use outside of their contract for something else. We're on a shortened time frame, unfortunately. What I would like to do, and with the chair's approval and kind of committee support and thoughts and approval on this, could we call and schedule a special meeting late March, early April, and let me send out WDI's recommendations again, a nice pretty spreadsheet of where our funding is going to potentially land. Now, there could be, what I'd recommend is wherever we land, we keep 5-10% contingency, because the sales tax comes in lower or something shifts. I think we want a buffer in there just to be safe. So, and we could throw that in, a fund balance reserve, or the budget contingency reserve, but lay everything out on paper. This is kind of some extra monies that's potentially going to get allocated this year. Everything on paper, everyone's got a couple weeks to look at it, and we come in and we talk through it. Maybe WDI brings some revisions to equal that extra. And we talk about it and we take action and we bring it back to the manager.
You have the chair's approval on it. As long as it's in April, last week in May, or March is crushed.
First week April work,
As long as it's not the last week in March.
then you're good. All right, got it. It's that look again.
Can you do it after the city MSD presentation to council? Which is the first week of April.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We could plan for, like, I would say, let's maybe plan for the latter part of that week. We could get the committee like the 6th, 7th, or earlier the following week, 10th, 11th, something like that.
Yeah, that's fine. That works.
You need a majority of the committee, right?
We'll need 7, and I would prefer we have as many in that meeting as possible, just so we get full wide range committee input.
So you're looking at,
I'm here
just so I
till the
understand, 6th or 7th of April, that time frame?
Somewhere in there, yeah. I would say, and I'll send a kind of survey out and throw some dates and times to make sure we're all on board. We did this last year. So, and I'll try to make it as easy and painless as possible for everyone. If we wait till the council meeting that Christina WDI are presenting to council on is April the 4th. So if we aim for the Thursday, Friday after that, or maybe the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of that following week, so somewhere between the 6th and the 12th.
Yeah. And I would also add, if it's easier for everybody, we can just do it all via Zoom if we have all the information too,
And
just
that's-
make sure we have as full attendance as possible.
Yeah, I think that's perfectly fine. We can alert the clerk and notify and notice it that way.
Yeah, okay.
Because we have a reserve as well, right?
There's a fund balance. It's roughly 500 and some $1,000. There's a fund.
But it's not a
balance.
reserve it's not a reserve as you would think of a traditional reserve, like it's completely bifurcated thing sitting over here. And it's just the city requires us to carry a certain fund balance and not go below it.
It's basically the money that hasn't been used for the past 5 years at the end of that fiscal year automatically rolls into that fund balance for future projects.
No.
Yep.
Do
And-
we know the dollar amount or the percentage that the city wants us to hold?
We're much higher
Yeah,
than
and
what
you-
is required by the state. Usually it's around 25 to 30%, if
Of
I'm
the
not
budget.
mistaken. I think we're
Way over that.
we're way up. We're in like the 70 to 80% range.
That's what-
See, that's the thing that I'm thinking about is if we're looking at projects that you're mentioning, it's probably gonna get some out of that.
Yeah,
you know what I
why
mean? I don't
not?
know.
It's their money.
Otherwise, it's sitting around.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's the property owner's cash.
I think that's what should come out of this long-term plan.
Agreed.
Is, hey, this is where we side budget note,
Mhm.
is the long-term plan is, hey, this is our fund balance we've got currently. This is where we project our fund balance in 5 years. Then let's start throwing some plans to the manager's office on some options there.
Is there a definition in the MSD between what's incorporated in the MSD? Because, for example, if we're getting no revenue off of the city, do those cities become non-exempt areas? In other words, do we clean up the old PPD building, pressure wash once it
not
goes
paying.
over?
Once they're there.
I mean, just- we can go there. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, we do, but we have to.
What I would say is, not getting put in a hot seat here. The committee could certainly offer could serve a poll and offer a recommendation to council, but that would be ultimately up to
Right.
council to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I understand.
All right. Any other questions?
Sounds like a strategic idea. Strategically.
Well, I'm thinking of the.
If there's nothing else, then do we have a motion to adjourn?
Hey,
You
real
wanna do it?
quick,
Sure.
real quick on the Zoom, iPhone is Ann Coffee, just for the minutes.
Your name is back up.
Yeah, it's Ann Coffee on the iPhone on Zoom.
I added your name, Ann.
Okay, thank you. I'll update that on my Zoom app. Thanks.
Do we have a
Motion to close.
motion to close then? That's, there you go.
Woo.
Vote. Yes.
Thanks, everybody.
Summarize and what I'll recommend to.
Was there a motion in a second? No?
Sorry, yes, there was a motion that everyone ready to adjourn, say aye or get up. Thanks. Yep.